the last one of the season. Of course, the final Super League Raw weekly of the year. It's been emotional, Reg. It's been a bit of a journey.
It's been a roller coaster ride of emotion.
It's been a roller coaster ride this year. Yes, been pretty tough on our own team this year. Called it straight. Should they have a reversal in fortunes next year? Let's hope that our viewers don't consider us biased, because we certainly haven't been that this year. Haven't pulled any punches at all.
Bias, you'll never remove the grin off my face when we finish above that 10th next year.
Congratulations to is it Barrow? Batley. My brain's gone. Batley. Sorry. I doubted myself then. We've just been talking about Batley. God damn it, yeah, Batley. What on earth was Everton doing there? Deary me.
Apparently, by all intents and purposes, they played a slightly weakened team.
Yeah, taking it for granted.
Arrogance can sometimes bite you on the bum, sir.
Arrogance is it's never good, mate. Arrogance is never ever good. And of course, Brian McDermott now without a club. Since leaving Leeds, obviously left Leeds under a bit of a cloud. Then he went, I think it was Toronto. I won it from there. He
was kind of strange the way he left Leeds the way he did, because I think they were floundering, weren't they? They weren't doing too well, and he kind of decided that it needs somebody fresh to do it. If memory serves me right, I'm sure if we've got any Leeds fans who watch us, they'll put me right on that one. And then went to Toronto. Remember, he did all right at Toronto. He kind of,
I don't know. I think
all right.
He'll be disappointed. Obviously, Lee have thrown the kitchen sink, haven't they? And you'd expect Lee to come up at the end of the year.
Lee have actually, they have, like you say, they've spent heavily and they've invested heavily, and they're going to have to lose a lot of players next season, a lot of overseas players.
Yeah.
So, what happens there, I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing Ferguson in Super League.
Yeah, he will be a fine addition.
Look forward to. He was one of my favourite players in the NRL.
Yeah, quality, mate. Absolute quality.
So I'm looking forward to seeing him next season. He's staying, apparently.
Yeah, well, good. And like I say, it'd be good to see him getting a berth in Super League. And speaking of the NRL, of course, it'd be a Penrith Parramatta final on Sunday, live on Sky. I take it you'll be viewing on that one.
Oh, yes, one of my favourite days of the year. State of Origin, NRL Grand Final.
Yeah, it'll be monstrous, mate. Absolutely monstrous. Arguably two, if not the two, best teams.
Yeah, and that's season. What the grand final should all be about.
Yeah,
best two teams. Sorry, Leeds fans, but the best two teams should be battling out to be champions.
Yeah, no, I think it's very difficult to disagree. Tell you what, let's just get straight into it. We can talk about the other news afterwards, but let's get straight into it. Then the grand final that was. You mentioned it there. Greg, Leeds, didn't really, for me personally, it showed why, as a neutral, it'd have been better had Wigan have got there. I think as a final, we were there, wasn't the greatest, was it?
It was quite a kind of run-of-the-mill victory for Saints, wasn't it? They didn't have to do anything spectacular to win it.
No.
I think Leeds had if the referee had let that kick go early on when he pulled Saints up, when he amazingly pulled Saints up side, if he'd let that go, and Leeds would have scored, because it was a try all day long. It might have made it interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I completely agree with you. Sorry, the doors are trying to get in, but go on.
Yeah, it was just a run-of-the-mill game, and there was nothing spectacular about it.
At no point did I think Leeds were gonna win this game from probably the first 5 minutes. There you can see Leesy going in. Me and you were really impressed with Matty Lees.
I thought Matty Lees was man of the match. I must admit, I was really impressed with Matty Lees.
Yeah, it was great. Party as well, mate. Both of them.
Oh, Matty Lees impressed me. Defence, strong running.
Yeah.
He's been solid all season, and he doesn't get the same plaudits that other teammates seem to get.
No. And in fairness to Lomax there, broke the line well. It's a good pass that on the back inside for Leeds.
Yeah, well, that's what he's paid to do, mate. That's what he's paid to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Matty Lees put his body on the line, scored a try. I would have given Matty Lee's man of the match quite. And I don't think anybody could have argued with that.
I was astonished that they went with Smith at halfback. We've discussed this on the night. I thought that was, personally, I think he got that wrong. I'd have put Marler at scrum half.
We were over in Yorkshire on Sunday, and talking to some Leeds fans saying, what was he playing at, putting Cameron Smith in the halves?
Yeah.
Hardacre to fullback, Marler in the halves.
Yeah.
Was the sensible option, I would have thought. Hull had a good game.
Yeah, well, we said, didn't we all? I mean, I think I think last week we were on about who'd get the Harry Sunderland. I put a little shout in for Urrell. And I thought he played the game he played. He's been doing that all season. Pleased for him as well that he got a try. I think against his former employers. I'll tell you what, mate, Benison. We discussed Benison at length 2 weeks ago. He was another player on the night that shone for me.
He stood up really well. I think he did. He did in this game what Wellesby did in that game when he scored that last second try. Was it last year, the year before, the COVID winning one? He did that. He stood up well and he didn't let himself down.
No.
You can't argue with the young kids that Saints bring through. Saints and Wigan bring the kids through really well and give them a chance.
Benison's been good all season. He's been good all season. A lot of talk here in the chat. We'll get to that in a minute in terms of maybe things going on at Warrington. We'll have a look at that in a little while.
I mean remember they got Dodd to come back next season as well. Yeah. Now that to me is a perfectly good tackle,
mate.
We said that
on the night. Now, me and Greg were surrounded by the St. Helens women's rugby team, as well as other women's rugby teams on the night. And they were, I don't know if they were pulling our leg or what, but they were adamant that was a penalty. And me and Greg were adamant it wasn't. I mean, if that's a penalty, God help us. I mean, that is never a penalty. Yes, he's picked him up, but he's on his back.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry.
No. And then, what's Wellesby doing there? Well, Wellesby has been... There's been a few fans calling him out on Facebook, Wellesby, for being being the first in to rub somebody's head that's dropped the ball and being shouting in faces. Yeah.
He's going to get
a pasting if he carries on.
I'm sorry, but that's not a penalty. It's not a penalty. And at this point, I think did he miss this one? I think he missed this one, didn't he?
I think he did.
I think for me, at this point, we both said it ran the risk of really running away. But fortunately, did he pull it?
Yeah, he missed it, didn't he?
I
can't remember because
this was the laughable thing. For people who weren't there for the first, and this makes me giggle as well with highlights they don't show. I'll just put a little pause on that. Obviously, me and Greg were there. We sat around the halfway line, and for the first 15 minutes of that game, I don't think Percival got back 10 yards once.
No. And the only time that they were pulled for it was when they had that kick through
where Briscoe went.
Yeah, and it was a try all day long, and the referee looked and blew up. Now, I'm not saying he did it deliberately. I'm not saying that at all.
No.
It was the only time in that first 15 minutes that Percival was pulled up for, and we had a perfect view. He was 4 yards from the referee at every single tackle. Every
play the ball. Play the ball. Without question. I've just noticed there's a what's that one? Ooh. Is that extended? Oh, there's one there. Hang on. This one's a bit longer. Hang on, I'm just having a quick look. Hang on.
What are we talking about, Dave?
1 second. Just turn that down. Hang on a sec. I'm having a moment.
Talk amongst yourselves, people.
Talk amongst yourselves, yeah. No, to be fair, so I'm just trying to see if I can find.
What is it you're going to talk about, Dave?
It was that bit around the fact that without question, at that particular moment in time, for whatever reason, the referee decides to give a penalty. The one time that Leeds break the line, it was just unbelievable. It was unbelievable.
And it would have been a great try as well. One of the great grand final tries. I say we can't say he did it deliberately. It's just unfortunate, I think, that he decided to, instead of seeing how the play went and then blowing his whistle, I think he was a bit too keen on his whistle. You can't. Yeah. I thought the referee had a decent game, if I'm being honest.
It was reasonable. I just think he got that particular one that particular one wrong. And before Saints fans start pummeling us, don't worry, we'll get to your team. Don't panic. I think the other thing as well is that I think they were saying that Aledzki wasn't 100% going into this game. And I think that showed. I didn't think Aledzki had a particularly good game by his high standards.
I've praised him all season, as you well know, and he was a little bit quiet by his own high standards.
Yeah,
this kind of shook things up a little bit.
It did. And pleasing that it was Lehman and Martin that went over for Leeds, because both of those two players have really had a good year for Leeds. Really good, strong seasons.
And been banned on the back of some really dubious calls as well. I mean, Martin getting however many games he's got when Knowles, and we'll talk about this, I'm sure. When Knowles gets off on appeal is
nonsense.
A scandal.
Nonsense. An absolute nonsense. And as this game, and look, in fact, before we, because we've got the time tonight, we'll come back to this in a second. On this note, because obviously last week when we were on, we were confident that Knowles was going to get banned. It came out that night that it had been stood on, that they'd stood on, and of course 24 hours later he was let off. And what the final, me and you were discussing it in the week, and I think St. Helens are a champion team.
Yeah.
They've just gone 4 in a row. Nobody can argue with that. And arguably, I think yet again a professional season from them. I don't think they've been the best in terms of easy on the eye and attack. I think Salford and Wigan have really stepped up this year.
Salford towards the end of the season.
Really good. I've enjoyed watching their attack this year. But Saints have been clinical, and that's what they've been, and they're fully deserving of 4 in a row. Nobody can argue with that. But as and people say hindsight's a wonderful thing, but look, it's 24 points to 12 in the final against Leeds, the team that finished 6th. Morgan Knowles didn't make an impact on this game at all.
No.
And he didn't. I'm sorry, but he didn't.
If you listen to the Sky commentary of the game, we were mentioning him every.
Yeah, but mate, we were there. Lomax quality. Parza, Matty Lees quality. Benison had a really good game. Makinson does what Makinson does. So for me, and I'll tell you another one who had a decent game as well. Sirenham.
I think that personally, from what I've seen of him this season, and it's not been every game, I admit.
Yeah,
I think that was probably one of his best games for Spain.
I agree, 100%. So and people say, "Oh, it's hindsight." No, they didn't need Morgan Knowles for this game.
No.
They didn't need Morgan Knowles for this game, and all they have done is brought our sport into a circus. And for me, he just leaves a bit of a sour taste. Not the fact that Saints are 4 in a row. Congratulations to him, fully deserving, great team. But for me, it leaves a sour taste in my mouth. As a rugby league fan, that what they have done is they've set a new precedent, which is going to be extreme. Good luck the disciplinary committee next year.
Because I think IMG should get rid of the disciplinary committee. I think that's one of the first things they need to do. Is get rid of the disciplinary committee and the match review panel. Get rid. What purpose do they serve? I mean, God, we still don't know why Charlie was banned for that amount of games at the beginning of the season. And then Morgan Knowles gets banned. The appeal is dismissed. When Reece Martin appealed, he got an extra game for being frivolous.
I think everybody's. I can't remember many that haven't been given the extra game this season.
Exactly.
So it's just.
I did some research on this.
Disappointing.
Bear with me on this one. I had a bit of research on this one. Apparently, the protocol they use, and I've written this down, so bear with me. In this kind of thing, is the standard analysis in nasty tackle situations, or Saints for short.
Very good.
Now, a little bit of a confession here. I can't actually. And that I saw that on social media, so I can't actually claim that one myself. In case the person who put that is watching tonight.
Absolutely.
I just saw that and I thought, you know what, somebody's thought long and hard about that and needs to get out a little bit more, but I'm going to use that. Absolutely. But no, they didn't need to do it. And I think that, and again, look at the attendance figures, down to just over 60,000. Apparently the third lowest.
Yeah.
Attendance.
And this is the worrying thing for the sport, because every, if you're talking about KPIs, they're going the wrong way, and this is why they're going the wrong way, because you're supposed to have a code of conduct. You're supposed to have rules and regulations that are fair and equal to all. And all I would say is this: that if Salford, if Salford, not that they could have done, but if Salford had played Saints in the final, not that they could have done, and I know they couldn't have done, but if they had, and the king, Running Yawa, had been the person who'd have done that chicken wing tackle, are you telling me that the king would have got off?
No, not in the slightest.
Does any of our Super League Raw fans forum members believe that if that had been the king, Running Yawa, that he'd have got off?
No other. I am convinced that no other player would have got off with that tackle, or would have been banned, lost the appeal, and still not had an extra game added. And then 24 hours later, because, and here's the thing, the player concerned, is it Atkin?
Yeah.
He used that arm to take a drink and then pass the ball left. Does that mean if I break?
Genius, isn't it?
Does this mean
genius, mate?
If I break a bone in my foot and carry on walking, it's not broken?
You couldn't make it up, mate.
And they had a medical expert to tell them that's why it wasn't a dangerous tackle. I tell you what, I hope he's nobody's GP who watches this forum. You may as well roll your tents up now, boys and girls, because my God.
Anyway, look, we had to go there. I mean, God only knows.
And the kick in the teeth for rugby league is that he got a 1-game ban after that grand final. And that is the ultimate Mickey take as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
And he'll be in the squad for the Friday night friendly.
Oh, all day, mate. All day. I say absolutely embarrassing. Look, we have to go there. We've gone there.
Yeah.
And we move on. But yeah, at least at half time, there was a game on. There was a game, but then Saints second half came out. This is, I think Hull. Is it Hull that went in next for him? I think it was.
I think this was a game breaker, wasn't it? This is if Leeds could have held on a bit longer, and but this was a game breaker. Yeah, I think it is Hull.
It's Hull. And it's just what Hull does. I mean, to be fair, they'll be disappointed here. I mean, there's no way he should be getting that ball down.
No.
No way in a million years should he be getting that ball down. There's the class clown, LMS, doing what he does. But there he is. Unfortunately, that's where. But unfortunately now that's where his career's at, and of course his next promotion will be to be the St Bernard on the touchline prior to games, because
he'll be lined up to be Sky's next pundit. You can go.
Oh mate, please God no. Well, saying that though, you won't put it past Sky, would you?
No.
To do that. And look, it's not for against St Helens players per se. We think Kyle Amor he's done a fine job.
Kyle Amor has got himself a job as a pundit.
Yeah, he's had a fine. Yeah, he's had a fine one. And of course, Percival in the press, maybe not going to be fit for the World Cup.
Yeah, well, this is Percival's biggest problem. I mean, that's probably the only time he was on side all night, to be in fairness. But this is Percival's. I mean, just think of the player he could have been if he didn't have the injuries that he's had, and it's a shame, really.
Yeah.
He is
he's class, mate.
He's a class player.
Fully fit, mate. He's arguably the best centre in the comp, mate. Arguably.
Yeah.
But this is the thing, we're giving Saints a bit of stick. Look, nobody's arguing quality outfit, quality plays. They just didn't need to. They didn't need to go to those depths, and it is pretty low what they've done. And the mad thing is as well, I hate it when it becomes partisan. Yeah, well, if it was a Leeds player, they wouldn't care. Look, at the end of the day, put your colours away. If I'm telling you now, hand on my heart, if Warrington Wolves had an appeal that, I'd have been absolutely disgusted.
Yeah.
Disgusted. I genuinely would. And I know there's a lot of Saints fans that came out and said all day long he was a bam.
Yeah.
And congratulations to those Saints fans, because they've called it as rugby league supporters.
Yeah.
There has to be a standard, because at the end of the day, it's a tough sport. Injuries are prevalent in it anyway. We don't need things like that creeping into the game that could cause serious long-term injuries, it's really, really poor.
Now, here's the
This
thing that
is the
got
Makinson bit.
Makinson in trouble, isn't it? Because he
Yeah.
kicked the ball into the crowd and he got pelted, and he don't show it.
No. Well, I mean, and to be fair, again, didn't. I mean, I don't know if Makinson have been given a bit of. They've been giving Makinson a bit of grief. I don't know if there's been a little bit of needle from previous games for the Leeds fans and Makinson early in the season. I don't know, but again, look, again, we had Makinson in our dream team this year over Ken Seo. We believe that Tommy Makinson has had a wow of a season. And look, it's adrenaline, and all the rest of it. I get that, but Tommy, you don't need to do that, mate. Don't
just
need to
run the
do
ball
that.
out, run it over the dead ball.
Just go and shake hands. You've had a great season. Just don't need to do it. But equally, I'm all for players giving a bit back if fans give him some grief, and you've just got to laugh at that. Really, for me as Leeds supporters, it is what it is. But I think Tommy could have maybe not done it really.
I'd tell you the thing that surprised and shocked us though, mate, after the game, because we got off fairly swiftly after the final hooter when the amount of St Helens fans in the queue for the tram before they pick the trophy up.
It was absolutely scandalous. I mean, we actually challenged a few of them as well. I mean, there was two gentlemen behind me in the queue on the tram, and I just turned around and I said to him, "So you're not watching your team pick the trophy up, lads?" Then no. And the response was, "Nah, get off home. We'll watch it on the telly." And you're like, really? And maybe that's why there was more Leeds fans in their end than there were Saints in theirs. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean,
it's not well and good being 4 in a row, but don't take it for granted.
No.
Never take winning for granted.
Some of those Saints fans were at the queue before Phil and Holly got there.
Oh,
that quick out the
pot. yeah, absolutely. But equally, but you know what? But to be balanced, shocking behaviour. For any supporter to leave a ground when your team hasn't even lifted up the trophy, it's arrogance and it's just wrong. But equally, and this is sport in general, it's the same in all sports. The amount of Leeds fans, I mean, we're talking thousands of Leeds fans that left when we did. Now, we're Warrington fans, right? As soon as the full-time whistle went, we were off. Because it's like, right, there's more beer to be consumed.
Yes.
Let's not waste any time.
There's more mango unchained in that keg.
Mango unchained. There's some more mango unchained to be sold.
Ladies and gentlemen, Piccadilly Tap near Piccadilly Station.
The mango
unchained. It's
phenomenal.
The future.
It is the future of ale. There's no doubt about it. So, at the end of the day, we have a perfectly legitimate reason for leaving that ground very, very early. But the amount of Leeds fans, we're talking thousands of Leeds fans left that ground before clapping off their team. Now, I'm sorry, it's just wrong.
I remember years ago, and it's a modern phenomenon.
Yeah, it's wrong.
And I think, do you know why I think it is? I think it's because they present the losing team first. Now, when I was a kid, in any cup final, the winning team went up, lifted the trophy, and then the losing team went up after. And the fans of the losing side used to stay behind. But it's a modern thing that losing fans now go leave. And as a team that's just lost in a major final, you must be so deflated to see the end where your fans were empty bar a few thousand. Must be so.
Well, I remember back in the day, the late 80s, the early 90s, when pretty much Wigan was winning the Challenge Cup at Wembley all the time. And I remember in 1990, this would be the same. Widnes, all the other teams. I think Halifax got one there one year.
Yeah,
their fans didn't leave Wembley.
No,
I remember the players actually coming round the side, shaking the hands of the supporters, thanking them for coming and supporting them. The players in tears, the fans consoling them, all of that type of stuff. And we're at risk. We are at risk of becoming another football. We've seen yet again this season an increase in play acting. There's no question about that. Across most teams, it's creeping in this. This crusher tackle when it's not one and all. Really, we've seen players holding up imaginary cards.
We've seen that 20 years ago, if a rugby league player had done that to a referee, he said, "All right, then, mate, you go."
Yeah. We've seen that creeping this year. The thing that we're talking about now, losing spectators, leaving grounds, not a new phenomenon. It's happened over the course of the last few years. But this is why one of the reasons, well, one, because they're overpaid prima donnas, but secondly, this is why football is no longer a sport that is a working man's game. That where they don't, there's no affinity between the players and their supporters. No matter what a football club says, they couldn't give a rat's what about the supporters at any of these clubs. And if we're not careful, rugby league, the very foundation of it's a community game, it's a quality sport. We need to make sure that we maintain the values of the sport, because if there's one thing that we have got that I believe most sports haven't got, is those values, those morals, those beliefs, that etiquette, the etiquette of the game, I believe is exceptional in rugby league, and we've got to be very, very careful. So I appeal to all fans, my own included. We've seen a fraction of Warrington spectators come into the Allowell Jones that we don't believe are there for rugby league reasons. And these type of things need to be stamped on and out of the game.
And it's up to the fans to do that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Going back on that, we're talking about football, the women's game. You can see when I watched a lot of the European finals and European championships this year with the women in the women's game, and they were playing for the shirts. It was like watching footy in the 80s and early 90s. Wow. And when I've been involved in the women's game a lot, rugby league this season, and they wear the shirt because they love the shirt. That they're proud to wear the shirt.
No play acting,
and you can see it. And we played a team in York. My eldest daughter played for the Warrington Reserves on Sunday in their semi-final. Unfortunately, they got beat 13-12, which was heartbreaking. But the other side had a 55-year-old woman that's played for them for 25 years. And, she was a bloody good player. And that's the kind of thing, it's that community spirit that, I think maybe Super League is a little bit responsible for that, because I remember when Super League was announced in 94, 95, when it was, I remember the Featherstone fans who lived behind the ground had the washing lines tied to the back of the stadium. They all went out with shears and cut the washing lines at the back of and to emphasise the fact that the community, the sport as a community sport was dying because of the Sky deal. And, it is a symptom of modern sport that it's about that now. It's not about communities and fans. That's why Hull travel to Warrington on a Friday night, because Sky want Hull supporters to be sitting watching a Sky product with a Sky dish.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely spot on, mate. And that's all. And again, that brings you nicely there, really, to the IMG. Yes, there's a meeting tomorrow. A lot of rumours. We won't know until we know. 14-team Super League on the table, as is 2 tiers of 10. Personally, I think 2 tiers of 10 would be catastrophic for the game.
What I have heard is 13 teams next year going to 14 teams.
So are we saying then? So is that to keep Toulouse in?
I've no idea. That's just a rumour I've heard in the last.
But again, Toulouse. But if they was to do that, again, they've damaged Toulouse, because Toulouse are losing players. Yeah. They've lost players because they're no longer in Super League. So if that was going to be the plan, that should have been done and dusted an age ago.
Just again, don't shoot the messenger, mate. That's just a rumour.
No, I know, mate.
Research, just a rumour I've heard.
I also heard a rumour that that one of their recommendations is that any team that is near a main city should adopt that city's title, as in the Liverpool Saints. Oh, come on. We've been here before. It ain't going to happen. It's never going to happen. Never in a million years is that going to happen. No. So, and if they spent all this, I know it's I know they're getting paid as the perform IMG, but come on. We've been here. You don't regurgitate the wheel. 14 teams for me. Get rid of the round robin, job done. We spoke last week at length. The league leaders are the champions. End of. Yeah. That for me 100%. Would make a massive difference in our sport. And then do the Premiership. Top 8. Top 8 knockout at the end of the season. Quarter-final, semi-final, final for a new trophy. The
Premiership trophy, like it always used
exactly to be. As it used to be. And I think fans would buy into that. I think they'd be quite happy. And actually, the other thing that I think probably hinders our sport, there isn't enough trophies. There's 2. Because the league leaders shield is just not coveted. There's 2. So for me, that Premiership coming back in, put more onus on the Super League, and it's the Super League trophy, that trophy that we've got now. That's what you get for winning the league, and then create a Premiership trophy.
Yeah,
create a Premiership trophy.
Well, when I was a kid growing up playing and watching rugby, we had the Lancashire and Yorkshire Cup, we had the John Player Trophy or whatever it became, the Regal Trophy. Then we had the Challenge Cup, and then we had the Premiership at the end of the season.
Yeah.
And okay, when we were watching it, Wigan were practically winning everything, but occasionally you get Warrington winning the Regal Trophy in 91, winning the Lancashire Cup in 90. You get Castleford beating Wigan 32-2 or whatever it was. Yeah. You get a shock results. There's the argument of player welfare and do we want to play too many games? I think we play too few games. I really do think we play too, and that's we've got to thinking in the terms of the World Cup that's coming up. The Aussies play more games than we do.
Absolutely.
They've also got a more competitive league beneath the NRL. We've got to start thinking outside not so much outside the corridor, but outside the parochialism of it.
Well, here's one for you, and this has just come to me now whilst we've been discussing it, and we've sampled this once before, but we've always do it before a season starts, not at the end of a season. Is there an argument that actually what we do is we say, no, what we'll do is Super League, the league winners win the Super League, and then once that is over, the top 4 in Australia and the top 4 in Britain go into a Premiership style where the first, so first and first are separated, so basically in terms of there's 2 pools, so the seeds, it's seeded, so you do it that way where it's seeded, and then of course, and again that little bit of needle, Australia, Britain. One year it's over there, one year it's over here. Again, the two hemispheres working together. Will people buy into that? I don't know if they would.
I don't know, because we've tried.
Well, these are the type of things, mate, that IMG should be putting on the table. And we haven't heard any of those. All we've heard is maybe 13, 14 teams. You're saying 13. I've heard 10 and 10. I say again.
10 and 10 will be a disaster.
Mate, it will kill our game.
10 and 10 will be a disaster.
Yeah, it'll be Sky on steroids, mate, if it's 10 on 10, because it'll kill our game.
Absolutely. That's like the Scottish Premiership.
Yeah.
We're playing each other 4 times.
Yeah. It's just not going to work.
We've got fans walking away from the game now as it is.
Yeah.
That is going to kill it. That is not a good idea. Whoever's come up with that idea should be fired with some immediacy, because it is a poor idea. I can't understand the thinking behind that.
No, neither can I. But anyway, we've spoke about it, and there you go. Saints, congratulations to Saints. I'm very mindful of the fact that it might come across here that we're not giving Saints the dues.
No. I think the integrity of the sport took a battering last week.
Yeah.
I think Saints winning the grand final, and apologies to Leeds fans, but we cannot and we should not have a team that finishes 5th being crowned champions, or 6th being crowned. I'm sorry, that in any sport, that should not be agreed to or tolerated in any sport. No. If you're the best team in your sport, you're the champions.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that because Warrington have finished top of the league and never won a grand final. Castleford have finished top, didn't win a grand final. Huddersfield. I'm saying it because it's unacceptable in other sports. Why should we as rugby league fans accept that a team that loses the first 10 of the first 11 games could be crowned champions and beat a team that lost 4 games all season?
And we tried to copy the NRL, but look, we're 2 different hemispheres. I just don't think it works over here. I don't, look, it's like the North-South divide in Britain, isn't it? It's a different part of the world. What turns them on, what turns on us on are 2 separate things, isn't it? And that's it. And I just think over here, I think, a tiered system, a league system is what people buy into. That's what they buy into. Simple as that. And I think that we need to, if I'm IMG, that's where I'm going. I'm saying, like, look, you've just got to have a 14 league. And it's all about integrity of the sport. Every game matters when it's a league.
Yeah.
Every game matters. It's not about we just got to get into the 6. And then you get, and again, we have given Salford so many plaudits this year. but they threw the Warrington game. They threw it because they wanted to play Huddersfield. They didn't want to go to Catalan. It gets rid of all that nonsense if it's a league structure. If it's a league structure and you actually pay people like they do in the Premier League, you finish first, this is how much you're going to get in prize money. Finish second, this is what you're getting. So actually, none of this, oh, well, we'll just slide in sixth. No, the chairman is saying, no, we want to finish third, we want to finish second, we want to finish as high as we can because that's where we get our.
Because we'll get the money,
That's where we get the bonus.
We have 2 up, 2 down.
Mate, this is where they need to be. And lots is. When between now and when we come back on, I think we come back on. I think I said it's the 25th of Jan. We'll put on the site when we're going to come back on to preview the new season. There's going to be a lot of noise between now and then. I'm absolutely confident of that. But we'll be back to discuss it early doors, late in January. But well done to Saints. Like I say, I've enjoyed watching Saints. I've enjoyed watching Wigan. I've enjoyed watching Salford. Early part of the season, I really enjoyed watching Huddersfield as well. They just tailed off a little bit at the back end. But I thought Huddersfield up to the Challenge Cup were playing some phenomenal rugby league. And
what are people saying on the feed, mate? Are they agreeing?
Right. Well, Chris Young's Chris Young's just coming here. He said, it's money driven, the playoffs, pure and simple, but saying that we have the Premiership. So what is the difference between then and now? Well, the difference between then and now is that back then it used to be that we had the league title, and then there was a playoff at the end of the season, and that was called the Premiership. Called the Premiership. It was an extra trophy, and that's what used to happen. And that was the one that I think was contested at Old Trafford. You think it was?
Yes, it was.
It was contested at Old Trafford. So the league was the league. You were the champions. So so basically the Premiership was a cup. It was like Challenge Cup. Yeah, it was a cup. You were not the champions if you won the Premiership. You were the champions if you won the league. But it was an opportunity. It was just that little bolt on at the end of the season that just kept kept people interested, and there was an opportunity for a team that finished all right. And I think from an integrity perspective, the Premiership could have the same format as what the playoffs have now. And I think Greg's argument over Leeds winning the Premiership, I don't think he'd have an argument because it's a cup. It doesn't matter. It's a knockout comp. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the winners were Saints. That's it. End of. Lock, stock, barrel.
I remember. I think it was 85. Watching Warrington beat Halifax at Ellen Road, and they absolutely smashed him. But Halifax were champions. But Warrington that day absolutely smashed him. Castleford beat Wigan in the Premiership final after Wigan had dominated as they did in those days. The Premiership, the year when Warrington were absolutely robbed of the league by Russell Smith. We finished second, third, and Sheffield Eagles came to our place and absolutely smashed us. I don't mind that.
But that's knockout. That's knockout rugby league.
Knockout football.
Rugby league. Paul Rhino's LUFC Siggy, he wished us well earlier in the show. Saints did really well all season. I was there on Saturday, and whilst we lost, I'm not disappointed, as I feel it was a win in itself for us to be there after the start of the season. You're right, it was. I completely agree. Let's say a few hellos. Steve Barton, you're with us. We're going to come to you in a minute, Steve. Aidan Stanley, Graham Parrish. Graham, you've been with us all year. Cheers for that. Steve Barton as well. Shirley Wilson, good to see you with us. John Wilkinson is with us. Big Al's with us, Greg. Tan Rose, Paul Griesdale here for the final show. Great to see a lot of the usual crew coming in. And of course, thank you to everybody who's watched us all season. Especially those who've been with us right the way through. Joel, Uncle Freddie, all of those, the Wilson family, Andy and Sue, our Castleford friends. Great support. We will be back next year. Thanks very much indeed for supporting us.
Dave, a big shout out to the Dearne Valley Bulldogs.
The Dearne Valley Bulldogs, absolutely. The Dearne Valley. We had the pleasure of meeting some young players from the Dearne Valley Bulldog, Barnsley way, wasn't it?
Doncaster, I think it was.
Was it Doncaster way?
And apologies. We'd had quite a few mangle and
we had a few, and they were there with the parents, and they were on the way to the grand final. It was brilliant. We had a lovely chat with them, lovely lads. Again, lovely people, which is again going back to what makes our sport so great. Really good chat with them on the way down to the ground, and the lads were superb, weren't they?
Oh yeah, we had a good crack with them. Really good laugh with them. Really good chat. Talking rugby league, talking all sorts of rubbish because I think they'd had a few man gun chain as well. But the parents, not the kids.
Absolutely, absolutely. And to be fair, there was a lot of shirts as well. We saw a Cash shirt, we saw a KR shirt, Hull, Wigan were there. Saw a few of those shirts.
You witness shirts.
A few witness shirts were in there as well. So so again, and that's how it's always been. But again, even that, I remember back in the day, you weren't seeing one or two. You were seeing busloads. I mean, like the good old days of the Challenge Cup in the 90s. I remember going down there as a Warrington fan, when Warrington weren't even in the final, and the Warrington like Woolston Rovers and all them, they were taking 2, 3, 4 coaches full, down there, and you were wearing your colours, and and I know that still happens, but certainly not as
it doesn't
not
happen
as
to the
much
same
as it
extent,
was.
mate. That's why the top tier at Wembley is closed, because those people, for whatever reason, because over the last 10 years. The game has changed so much that it is a lot of it is unrecognisable to the grassroots players who play week in, week out, and they sanitise the game so much. I did a research project on rugby league a few years ago and talked to some ex-pros, and the one word that kept coming up time and time again was sanitised. It's too sanitised, and you have to have player welfare. That's the world we live in, and I agree with that 100%. But it is alienating the grassroots, the fans, and 60,000 might seem a large number, but the third lowest grand final attendance.
Beautiful, mate. Highest attendance ever. Challenge Cup replay. Warrington.
Bradford, 105,000 odd.
Yeah, we used to fill the old Wembley, which was 80,000 plus every year. And this is why, I'm sorry, Mr. Rimmer, your tenure as chief of Rugby Football League, it's tarnished because the sport has gone. Yes, the women's game is improving. Yes, we've got the diversity. We've got the disabled final this weekend that's being contested, and that'll be on Sky. Yeah, of course, yeah. But the bottom line is, these arms of the sport are dependent on a strong Super League product. Dependent on it. They need that because if Super League crashed and burned tomorrow, you're not telling me that Sky would start showing the other arms of rugby league. It needs a strong Super League so that these can continue to build. And unfortunately, the Super League, whilst the other ones have sprouted, for want of a better word, the main product is withering.
Yeah, and yet when you speak to people who work with Ralph Rimmer, they speak very highly of him and say that a lot of it really isn't his fault. He's been tied by a lot of external.
Well, we know the chairman have too many
factors, and
we know the chairman have too much to say.
Yeah, get that. So maybe his tenure hasn't been the most successful, but maybe there are other factors involved in that.
Maybe.
So the chairman, they haven't got the best interests of the sport at heart. They've got their own self-interests.
Absolutely.
In any sport. It's the same
in any sport. Right. Okay, let's try and just quickly go around the ground, starting with the Salford Red Devils. They've announced this week, of course, that Oliver Partington is going to be joining them from the Wigan Warriors. Maybe something to do with the Bevan French deal. Of course, I would expect that Mr. French is taking up a bit more of the salary cap, so no real surprises that
players are being moved on
around. We know Toby King's
Ollie Partington's done all right this season, and there were rumours he was playing for Warrington at one point.
There was rumours, but I think this is a great move for Partington. He's been steady away for Wigan when he's been playing for them. And in terms of game time, you'd expect he'll be a starter at Salford next year. So I think this is a good move for the young man. A young man who wants to be playing rugby league, and I think he'll be playing a lot of rugby league in 2023. Yeah. And I think we'll both keep an eye on that because I think we both like the lad, don't we?
Oh yeah, he's a future. Well, he's going to be in and around the international squad for a long time to come, I think. And at Salford, he can develop his game again away from that Wigan spotlight, which no disrespect to Salford or their fans, away from that Wigan spotlight, he's got a chance to develop his game, I think.
Completely agree. We'll then go back over to our friends at Leeds, and of course, Kevin Sinfield, Sir Kevin Sinfield, has come out again. This time, he's going to be doing 7 ultra marathons, and you saw the pain that he went through on his last crusade. Yeah, 7 ultra marathons, which will culminate in a halftime appearance at the World Cup final. He's aiming to raise £777,777. Not going to happen. It'll be a lot more than that.
He'll smash that like he did the first time round.
But what a man! And of course, happy birthday to Sir Rod Burrow. Rob Burrow, sorry. Yeah. I was thinking Rod Stewart then. To Sir Rob Burrow. Where's that come from? Hello, I'm having a bad night tonight. But yeah, to Rob. Yeah, I mean, great to see. All the well wishes that he got for his 40th birthday in the week.
Yeah. Good luck to Kevin Sinfield, man. What a legend! That he is genuinely a legend of not just rugby league but of sport for what he's doing and how he hasn't been knighted.
Well, surely he will be.
Yeah, come on, Charlie boy.
Yeah. Well, let's be fair. You've got Lindsay Oil there, mate. He's a massive rugby league fan. He should be having words in ears because Sir Kevin needs to be Sir Kevin. Toby King arrived at Wigan this week. Very impressed by all accounts by the facilities. Gone there to win things. If ever a player needed to knuckle down and concentrate in his rugby league and come back firing, it's Toby King.
He's got to remember he's only on loan. He could very well be back at Warrington the season after, so he maybe needs to rein it in a little bit.
I don't think he will. I think he will. It's over.
Yeah.
And I think if this works out, I think we're going to probably take him at the end of the season.
Yeah.
I would think. So there's Toby unveiled. Also, Mickey McAlorum going around again.
Yeah, but again, going back to Toby King and going back to Mike Cooper, both have said how impressed they are with the facilities, with the training setup. The Warrington club have got to take on board what the players they're shipping out the club are saying about the facilities at other clubs. They've got to take that on board. Mm. Every player said the facilities are fantastic.
But mate, look, at the end of the day, the way you've got to look at this, is when Powell came from Castleford to Warrington, he said exactly the same thing. There's a structure, isn't there?
That went well, didn't it?
Yeah, but it's a structure though, isn't it? So, what Powell was saying, in comparison to Cass, am I surprised that Wigan, St. Helens have got better infrastructure than Warrington? No, I don't think I am. The amount of money, the amount of things that they've won, I'd expect them to. It's like United back in the day in football. They were head and shoulders, but then all of a sudden, more money came into the sport. Teams have caught them up and overtook them. So, but you're right. They should take an interest in it, but a little bit of that
they need to wake up and think, right, this is how the likes of Saints and Leeds and Wigan are constantly in the grand final. And Absolutely. If they want to win that grand final, then their facilities have got to match and better.
I don't think
it's not like Warrington are short of a few, Bob.
Do you know what, mate? I think it's a smokescreen. It's a smokescreen.
Smokescreen or not,
it's culture, mate.
Seriously, think about
it's culture, mate. No, it's culture, mate.
Well,
that's it.
That as well. There's that
it's
as
culture.
well. Yeah.
That's bigger than anything. Bigger than anything.
I agree. There's that as well.
Bigger than anything. Mickey McAlorum are going to go around again, and a great announcement out the Castleford Tigers for the Cass fans. Albert Vette is a Tiger. That's a good signing.
Great player.
It's a good signing that.
Yeah, great player. Got a lot of time for Albert Vette.
Yeah, it is a good signing. Now, a lot of rumours coming out as well. A couple of people have concentrated on this in the chat. A lot of rumour that Oliver Holmes is going back to Castleford. That is really starting to gain a bit of momentum in the last 24 to 48 hours.
Bullock has been put on the transfer list as well.
So. Yeah. Again, salary, I would presume that's a bit of salary cap. I think Warrington certainly need a centre, probably half-back. I know we're saying about Hayes, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Leon Hayes has, we can't afford to lose him as a player. He's the future of the club. Riley Dean, Leon Hayes, mate, he's a good player. So
if Warrington, look, let's go to Disneyland for a minute. Warrington have a chance of signing. Let's have a chance of signing Brodie Croft. What are you saying? Don't sign him.
Don't sign him all day long.
Sorry, Leon.
Sorry, Leon. I've just dumped you, mate. Sorry, mate.
Outstanding. Oh, mate, that is comedy gold. Oh,
No,
love
but
it.
Leon Hayes
Absolutely.
is the future of the club, and we've got to keep him and Riley Dean. We've
Oh, I
got to
couldn't
keep
agree more.
them happy and keep them involved. You know,
Yeah.
whether however that, I mean, God, I wouldn't be a coach for a million years.
No.
But you know, yeah, God, yeah, if we were to sign Brody Croft, brilliant. I don't think Brody Croft had come to us, if I'm being perfectly honest.
You're probably not wrong.
No.
Speaking of Brody Croft, congratulations to Brody Croft. Last week, when we were talking about it, a video courtesy of JBP Sports Edit second channel on YouTube. Just a bit of a shout out to you boys and girls who ever do that. But yeah, Brody Croft. I mean, look, last week we were talking about the fact that we thought that maybe, well, I thought that Jay Field had too big a
I
lead
thought
on
he
him.
was too far in front of him,
Yeah.
I must admit. But
I mean, look at this. I mean, let's just take a little view of the man that's been crowned Man of Steel. If there's one moment I'm probably the most proud of, it was calling this very early on in the pre-season when I said, keep an eye on this boy, and he has not let me down.
he did, mate.
He's been absolutely. I said if he could hit the ground running, he would be. I mean, look at that. I mean, that's just wonderful, wonderful. It's been a pleasure watching this guy this year, hasn't it?
Oh, mate, he's a superb player.
Yeah,
he's a superb player.
Yeah,
I would say he's the best. Well, he is the best halfback in the competition. He's one man of steel. But he's superb.
he is. It's been class all year, and
I mean,
it's just that turn of pace. It's turn of pace. It's been, mate. It's not that. I mean, if you look at all the, I mean, you know, his assisting has been outstanding all year, hasn't it? But you know, the players around him, the Callum Watkins, the Sneeds, you know, as Lafai, you know, all of these guys. You know, the amount of tries he's set up for them all this year, he has just been absolutely, you know, absolutely just there he goes. I mean, and you know, that's Wigan.
Should have beat Wigan. They should have beat Wigan in this game. They should have beaten.
Yeah, absolute class. I mean, everything about him. I mean, look at that. I mean, look at the feet. It's just outstanding, isn't it? It really is. Everything about him this year. Look at that. Yeah. It's wonderful, wonderful. And look at him there. Looking, he's thinking there he's having it. Oh, yeah, look at that. I'll go myself.
Oh, you know, Mother Care would love a dummy like that.
Oh, but it's just been a joy to watch him. And like Briley, you know, Briley's come on leaps and bounds. I think the amount of confidence he's given his fellow professionals has been superb. And I do feel for Field, because I think, you know, it was always going to take. I mean, I know that Field got the Writers' Player of the Year, didn't he? It was going to take something incredibly special to not get Jay Field the Man of Steel this year, and by God, has Brody Croft been special?
Yeah. Oh, mate. Yeah. I mean, you know, I really do. You're saying sign for Warrington. I really, really hope that Brody Croft stays at Salford.
Yeah.
I really do for Salford fans, because he's a magical player, and you know.
Well, Hastings did, didn't he? I mean, Hastings stayed for a couple of years, and I think that, you know, out of respect for Salford, I think, and I've been really impressed with the interviews he's given off the back of his Man of Steel award. I do think there's a bit of humility there, but my only concern, my concern for Salford fans isn't another Super League club coming in, and I don't think that'll happen. But you know, listening to the plaudits that he's getting over in Australia as well, it's if an NRL club come in for him, that's going to be the danger, and then it's going to be down to Croft. And do you know what? If Croft went back home to the NRL, you know, I'm sure Salford fans would be gutted, but by God, he's given them some memories this year. He really has.
Oh, it's just, yeah. Like I say, I think I said a couple of weeks ago, he's the closest thing to Phil Blake I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Silky skills, a great kicking game, had great vision, pace, could kick over the top, could put a player through a gap. You know, that Phil Blake was just like that when he played for Warrington in the 80s, and he's the closest I've ever seen to Phil Blake, who was quite possibly one of the best halfbacks and centres and fullbacks I've ever seen.
His decision making at speed is incredible, isn't it? I mean, it really is. I mean, you know, and well done to JBP Sports for putting this together, because you know, this is it's just wonderful to watch. I mean, it really is. I mean, it is a proper celebration of the 2022 Man of Steel. It really is. I mean, look at this. This is a great try. We featured this, didn't we, 2 weeks ago? I think this was arguably his best game of the season. He was outstanding this day.
Yeah.
Absolutely outstanding.
He was good in this game as well.
He was good in this game as well.
Yeah.
Look at that again. It's just everything about. And again, you've got to have the runners and the likes of Watkins, Briley. They've been on the shoulder, haven't they? You know, they've been on his shoulder every time. They know when he gets the ball, he's electric. Something's going to happen, and they've been there and they've supported him, and they've really good support play. And this is why I've enjoyed watching Salford. How many times, speaking as a Warrington fan, how many times do we see players break the line at Warrington and there's nobody on the shoulder? But all year you've seen the Salford players busting a gut, to get right behind him. They know as soon as he gets that ball, something could be on here.
Yeah, look at that. I mean, look at the sport there. When was the last time you saw players around him of his own team? When was the last time you saw Warrington players do that, mate?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, look at that. See you later, Mr. Mamo. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful.
Mamo's no slouch.
He's quick. He's rapid. There's no doubt about it. But there he is, Sir Brodie Croft. An absolute pleasure to be bringing you that. Well done to JBP Sports. It's second channel on YouTube. I checked their page out. It's got some good content on there, ladies and gents. Well worth a look. But that was Brodie Croft. And of course, also announced this time last week were the young man of steel. No real surprises. We called it Jack Wellsby. And we said, as no disrespect to Mr. Wolf. Yes, he's gone 4 from 4. 4 from 4. His hat trick, of course. But we did say, personally, based on the massive improvements that have been made at Wigan and at Salford, we felt the other two were more deserving. It was Pete who got
Pete,
the.
I personally would have liked to see Rowley win it, but no arguments. No arguments. I mean, let's face it, mate. Me and you could coach St Helens to a grand final.
Well, you say that. You've said that a couple of times. I don't know, mate. I don't know.
But I personally would have liked to see Paul Rowley win it because, what he's done at Salford this season completely turned them around. But no arguments from that, Pete, winning it. No arguments at all.
No arguments at all. He's been very, very good. And of course, Luluai will be taking over from Breers next year. That'll be an interesting one to.
Breers going to the Broncos.
That'll be interesting to watch. It will be interesting to watch how that one pans out. It was nice. I mean, really enjoyed your company on Saturday. It was nice to be in and around the ladies' teams. And, of course, as you'd have seen on the Facebook page, we had Jodie Cunningham in front of us. Nice of her to have a photo with us. And she will be fit for the World Cup, she told us. So,
that's great. It was a great night. It was good to see all the women's teams, York, Leeds, a few Warrington players were there, St Helens.
Yeah.
All in the, sat around us, enjoying the rugby.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
That's the growth area of rugby league is the women's game, and the PDRL is the growth element of sport. We need to get behind it, support it, and
we do.
Get if you support a rugby team and they've got a women's team, get down there and support them.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, IMG, we've said it. Get the women's games as curtain raisers. Do a little bit of Do a bit of beer, a bit of cheap beer. Get people into the ground. Get them watching the game. Making it an event, and Warrington, used to be good at that. I noticed this season, for whatever reason, the pyrotechnics and all the rest of it, for whatever reason, weren't there this year.
Mate, we did have Wissy Rascal. Come on, let's
absolutely diabolical. But they need to start making an event of it again. KR last year, massive plaudits for what they were doing at KR in terms of the the street food and all of that. This is what's needed. Got to be thinking outside the box. Make it an event. It's not just about the 80 minutes. Make it an event. Make something bigger than it is. Freddie McGilvey gutted he's missed a large proportion of the show. You can get it on catch up, mate. But good to have you here as always. Joel is here as well. Joel, again, a big thank you to you for stepping in this year, and we will have you back.
Thank you.
We will have you back next year. Greg, that's pretty much everything, mate.
There we go.
That's us done. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been a pleasure. 2022 has been phenomenal. We've been here, I think, all by 1 week. We've managed to do what we do. We hope you've enjoyed it. We've enjoyed it. We'll but we are going to have a well-deserved winter break. Obviously, we've got the World Cup. Enjoy that. I'm sure you will. And who knows, we might bump into a couple of people in and around that. I plan to go a couple of those games over the course of the World Cup. So if you ever see us, say hello, and we can have a chat with you, and maybe post a photo and post it on the Fans Forum page, and there you go. As always, spread the word to all your friends. Where else do you want to be on a Tuesday night at 8 o'clock? This is what it's all about. A bit of rugby league. That we give you a shout out. That we'll let you come on. It's as much. Well, we're just custodians, and we're just there to promote the. It's a big word for Tuesday. It's another big word. You may as well sign off.
You've used a lot of those this season, mate.
I have.
You'll be watching Sale Sharks in the winter, mate. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just gotta keep going. Just gotta keep going. But no. Look, please do join us. We will let you know. The 25th of January is when we're back. So a lot is going to happen between now and then. Look after yourselves. Look after your families. Enjoy your Christmas and New Year. And put in your diaries. Super League Raw Weekly is back in 2023. 8 o'clock, 25th of January, 8 o'clock. Do not be late. But there's only one way for us to sign off. Greg, go on, mate.
Just hang on. Have a great Christmas, everyone. Have a great New Year. Look after yourselves.
Yeah.
Keep enjoying your rugby.
Keep enjoying a lot of rugby. A lot of rugby coming up. But there's only one way to end the show. We're going to end the show with the winners of the grand final, St. Helens. Enjoy the Rugby League World Cup, and we'll see you in January, everybody. Bye for now.
See you soon, guys.
The grand final glory. They never thought it'd be done. The Saints have done.
And always remember, it will be Warrington's year